What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Greg Peters, Miata Dad, and today I'm going to be discussing something on my channel that I've never talked about before, and that is how weak the Miata drivetrain is. Oh, did I say never discussed before? I meant the same thing that I've been talking about pretty much every video for the last 2 years. Anyways, today let's talk about differentials, specifically how strong differentials are. Now, when it comes to strength, you have two types of Miata differentials, 1.6 and 1.8. LSD, open, Torsen, VLSD, like all that stuff doesn't matter when it comes to strictly strength. 1.6 diff, 1.8 diff. The 1.6 diff, super weak. You'll shred them at 200 horsepower if you drive hard enough. The 1.8 diffs, significantly stronger. It's a recommended upgrade for anybody running over like 150 horsepower. But of course, everything has a breaking point. Now, when it comes to the ring and pinion, that bad boy's pretty strong. I don't know if I've ever seen one break. Axles, I hear of them breaking every so often, mostly drag racing stuff, but what breaks most often is the diff carrier. That aluminum piece on the back that's got the ears that go up to the subframe, basically what connects the diff to your car. The stock Miata diff actually has a little notch cut out of it, and that's the point where it's designed to break if it's under enough impact. And if you get into the 350, 400 plus horsepower range, you can put enough impact into it to shear the diff in half. Now, why am I discussing this? You guessed it. While I was out doing some test pulls on my new Paco Motorsports control arms, and I broke my diff. And I broke it right at the weak point where it sheared the arm clean in half. Now, to be completely honest with you guys, I am doing a Getrag diff swap on the Miata. I mean, I saw Chris Rudnick's videos at the drag strip, launching at full power on slicks, beating the crap out of that thing. And I was like, I need that strength in my life. But that's probably not going to happen for at least another month or so, and then my Miata's diff is broken right now. And I just happen to have a solution right here, which actually is probably going to be a really good solution for a lot of you out there that might not have the money for a Getrag diff swap. And what I've got here is an RX-7 diff carrier. So I'll show you the carnage in a minute on my car. And I have a support plate on there that was supposed to make it stronger. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, I don't really know, but I still managed to break it. So I'm gonna upgrade it so I can have a nice strong diff for the remainder of the time that I have a Miata diff in there. So this carrier actually comes from a naturally aspirated FC RX-7. This diff carrier is a direct swap for a Miata 1.8 diff. The bolt pattern is exactly the same. The mounting points are the same. All you have to do is swap out two Mazda Miata bushings. The only difference is this bad boy is way beefier, way stronger. When I get my old one out, I'll do a side-by-side comparison so you guys can check it out. I got this thing for only 180 bucks used on eBay. I honestly think it is the best diff upgrade you can possibly do. It's not even that hard to change. If you're running 300 plus horsepower on a stock Miata diff, you should really be considering one of these things. Anyways, I'm gonna start getting to work on my car. Now, I've done several videos on diff swap, so it's not gonna be a super in-depth how-to, but I'm still gonna take you guys with me along the ride so you can see the steps, and we'll get this thing swapped out. It's actually kind of hard to even notice, but I heard a little bang back there on one of the launches I did, and I was like, yeah, I better check that out. So that crack, I'm certain it goes all the way through. So let's drop this bad boy down and see what the damage is like. First step is gonna be getting some of this exhaust piping out of the way. For those of you that don't know, I have a Miata Getrag transmission swap, so I have no PPF. That's kind of nice, actually. Just gotta drop this brace down, get this piping out of the way, and do a traditional Miata diff swap. So the first thing I want to do is get the old carrier removed, and then I'll compare it side by side with the new RX-7 unit. Every freaking time. There's no getting away from making a mess, is there? Make sure you put your bolts in some sort of order that you remember. You can see they're not all the same. It's pretty obvious where this one goes. It's on the bottom. There's a huge long hole that goes into, but this one randomly goes into that hole right there. I don't know why that one takes a way longer bolt, but obviously the threading is different in there, so pay attention to that kind of stuff. I don't know how hard this will be to separate. If I forgot one of the bolts, it'll be really hard. There it goes. Dear future purchaser of my 3.9 Torsen LSD with the upgraded RX-7 housing, I know she's been through a lot, but as you can see, no missing teeth on that ring gear, not even as much as a chip, no foreign metal debris inside the housing. She's ready for more boost. It's extremely tempting to install my 3.6 ring and pinion in this, but I don't really trust myself with all the little measurements and everything that goes into this. I don't really want to risk burning up a $450 ring and pinion. So it stays 3.9. I'm going Getrag anyway, so there's no point in taking that risk. So now I have to clean all the old RTV off the diff and the new housing to make sure the mating surfaces are clean and dry. But first, let's take a look at the Miata housing against the RX-7. So if we look at the diff from the top, the first thing I want to show you is this little groove right here and its little buddy down there. That's the point where the diff is designed to break, and as you can see, that's exactly where it broke. The RX-7 diff does not have any sort of cutout or relief in the arm, and looking at them side by side, you can tell how much beefier it is. Now the internals are the same strength for the naturally aspirated RX-7 and the Miata, but I know you can swap the LSD unit out of the RX-7, and it uses a clutch type LSD, which is a little bit better for drifting, so that's another cheap upgrade you might want to consider if you're racing on a budget. Right about where the Miata diff housing broke, it's just under 2 inches. At the same exact spot on the RX-7 diff, it's 2 3/4 inches, so gonna be way stronger just on that. The Miata rocks about a 1/4 inch rib. The RX-7 on the other hand is about 1/16 of an inch thicker. Now I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you look in terms of percentages, that's 25% thicker in this area right at the break point. On the underside of the housing, it's the same thing. The Miata is under 2 inches, and in the same place on the RX-7 diff, it's over 2 3/4, almost 3 inches. So that's a massive upgrade in strength. Now I already know that these factory RX-7 bushings are not going to come out near as easy as you just saw those Delrin bushings come out. So I'm going to wait until I install the diff carrier, then I'll worry about drilling and cutting and doing everything I need to get those out. I got a new set of axle seals for the housing. These are pretty easy to get out. I've always done it this way with the pry bar. Obviously, you have to be super careful doing it this way. The only thing you have to be careful of is not to scratch this surface right here. So check it out. That's the outside of the axle seal. This is the inside. So you're just taking that pry bar, sticking it on this inner lip right here, and prying it like that. You don't want to stick the pry bar all the way to the outer lip and try to pry it this way. So you stick it a little bit. Oh, you can see the springs coming out. That's fine if that happens. Oop, don't want it to go into the diff though. Stick the pry bar just far enough in until you have a grip on the seal. And you can even do it in the car that way. So just barely get it started. Take the old seal, pop it right over there. Now it is possible to push them too far in, so you just want to tap it until it's seated flush all the way around the housing. Make sure it's not crooked. It's got to be flush in there. Now I get to tackle getting the factory RX-7 bushings out of the diff so I can install my Delrin bushings. Eventually you'll have enough drilled out to just push the center part of that bushing out, and then you're left with two half sleeves that are metal. Ready for the fun part? Take a little bit of grease, put it inside of your diff housing, stick your Delrin diff bushing on top, and you're done. And that's why Delrin bushings are awesome. That was so satisfying, I'll bet you want to watch it again. How about I do it by hand for you there, boys? Ah! That was a bad idea. So there it is, the freshly upgraded Miata Torsen differential with RX-7 rear carrier, beefed up and ready to slay some Mustangs. Installing the diff is exactly the same as removing it, so I'm losing daylight quick here, and I'm sure by the time I get it installed it's going to be pitch black, so I'm just going to get this thing in as quick as I can, and I'll catch you guys in about 5 seconds when it's installed and we're ready to take it for a rip.
The next day.
Alright, there it is. The Miata officially has RX-7 parts. Fits up there just like stock, except a lot stronger. So hopefully I'll have good luck with this, at least until I have all the parts collected for the Cadillac Getrag diff swap. I mean, I said we were gonna go for a test drive, so of course that requires maximum boost. Is there another way of doing it? Well, I can't really see anything, but it doesn't feel broken. Not that I would expect to break it in one pull, but we should be good to go for a while there, boys. So that's how you install an FC RX-7 diff cover on your Miata 1.8 diff. I hope someone out there found either the information or the install helpful. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out. on this, boys. Not everybody. Let me fix this light. I need to look good for my fan. How's that? I don't know if I made it better or worse.